How's it going, duelists? Today is the day the Banlist has finally dropped. A bunch of duelists have actually been waiting for this list, and it's a Saturday, and we actually have an event at Philly today, so it's actually really interesting Konami dropped this today, but we are all extremely excited, so let's get right into the list. First card on the forbidden list is Cyberstein. And honestly, I'm pretty sure a few players could see this coming from a mile away with all the Vsauce Starfrost support coming out with a Mystic to Potato card that you can pop with its effect, summon it to the board, and then you can immediately special summon Cyberstein going into all sorts of boss monsters, thus locking your opponent out of dueling turn 1. I think we could actually see this coming down the pipeline. So Cyberstein getting banned as the first card on today's forbidden list, okay? And honestly, that's really nice, but you know, some players might be a little salty with that because they actually were not able to use the Mystic Potato combos. Next up on the forbidden list is the Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow. And that has a lot of players like, wait a minute, we just got Super Heavy Samurai support. Why are you already hitting it over in the TCG? And I think they're just trying to smooth out the playing field for a bunch of decks, just so a bunch of decks can compete this format, okay? So they're hitting a few things that we already thought they were going to hit, as well as a few things that we did not think we were going to be seeing for a few months. Thus, just kind of proving that Konami is keeping us on our toes. Okay, third on the list, and again, a surprise to nobody, is number 89. Diablos is the Mind Hacker. So Mind Hacker has just been wrecking the meta ever since Cashier support's come out. It's able to just block out the zones when you combo this with the Shangri-La, and a lot of players were just saying, get rid of the Mind Hacker. Just get it out of the game. It's a nice card, but overall, it just isn't played in anything unless you're locking out the zones. So Mind Hacker is going as soon as June 5th hits, okay? So Mind Hacker, gone. Kashtira kind of trimmed down a little bit with this and a few other hits they received, but overall, at least you're not going to be playing against a board block deck, which is really refreshing for the metagame. All right, fourth card on the forbidden list is a Pointer of the Red Lotus. Now, we saw a Pointer just be one of those cards a bunch of people saw just being insane. You're activating it, seeing your opponent's hand, hitting a card out of it, and then they put it down to 1. But players were still teching a Pointer of the Red Lotus just because of how useful it was, being able to look at the opponent's hand and hit a card out, okay? Even if you're paying 2,000, even if you had to reveal your own hand, just being able to hit the main card out of the opponent's hand and then build a board of full negates or full blocks was just really imperative to the metagame. And overall, I think it's going to be great seeing a Pointer gone. I love the card, but it is gone, and it's probably for the best. And then last on the forbidden list, again, probably not a surprise to many players, is Branded Expulsion. And again, Branded Expulsion was used because when branded players were fusing from the deck, they'd send things such as the Gimmick Puppet that would actually lock monsters or the opponent out of special summons, or we'd be seeing things like Raw's Disciple, even things such as Jinzo against trap decks like Trap Tricks or Labyrinth. So then you'd Expulsion, put the monster on their board, so then they're unable to summon. But we are seeing now that the new fusion for the branded can essentially do the same thing with a little bit different setup. So we're going to be seeing if the expulsion ban was actually needed or if it was just kind of a band-aid on an overall problem. But that's going to be for a different format to decide. So now let's go over to the limited list. Okay, and honestly, this is pretty exciting and surprising as well. So first card being limited to 1 is Blaster Dragon Ruler of Infernos. And again, a lot of players have been actually kind of waiting for Blaster to come to 1. It's 1 in the OCG, it's at 1 in Master Duel, and now with all the fire support coming out to TCG, it is very nice seeing that TCG Blaster is going to 1. Okay, so surprise to not a lot of players, exciting to many. Next card on this limited list is Math Mech Circular. Now, we've been seeing Math Mech do a lot of work, and Circular is just one of their main cards, with a bunch of their combos revolving around Circular. So Math Mech Circular is a tiny little hit to that Math Mech deck. So a lot of players are rejoicing that they don't actually have to deal with that annoying effect as often as they would have to in the past. Third card on the list might be a little interesting to a lot, okay? And that is Psy Frame Gear Gamma. Now, we've been seeing Gamma just put in real work into the meta game. if you're opening it and you're playing a bunch of cards that you think your opponent's going to try negating with a hand trap with Ash or Drone Lockbird, you can immediately Gamma them. Start your board with 2 monsters if you controlled 0 when you activate the Gamma, and then you can proceed with your combo as well already have pretty much 2 extenders on the board, which really just puts the nail in the coffin with a bunch of starters. And we know right now Konami is really looking to kind of boost up the going second deck, and if a lot of players are against Called by the Grave, then they're kind of against Gamma overall, because it's a card that, yes, you can use it while you're going second, but it is most optimal when you're using it to go first to solidify your opening plays. Next up on this list of limited cards is Denlong, the first of the Yang Zings, and this is going to give support to a bunch of builds overall. I think this card was banned a while back just because it was a little overtuned, but now with how the current metagame has shifted, I think they're going to be testing out a few cards coming off the list, and Denlong overall is going to be one of those cards they're going to be testing out. So 2-1 for that, okay? Next up on this list is Kashira Riseheart. And again, we're kind of trimming down some of the overall insane plays that Kashira deck can do. And a Riseheart was just a walking macro that could just quick effect interrupt. So a Riseheart going to 1 is really going to force them to have to either defend the Riseheart or play really strategically with it to make sure that their 1 copy isn't going to get hit and isn't going to be gone for the remainder of the duel. And I think a lot of players are pretty happy seeing a Riseheart on the list as well as Diablo. Okay, so that's probably a good choice by Konami. Next up on the limited list, and again, another surprise, is Pirelli Delicious Memory. Now, this is an interesting one, okay? So not only did we kind of think if they're going to hit a Pirelli card or a Pirelli card that they'd probably hit the one where you draw multiple times per turn per one, but they hit the Delicious Memory, and I would like to think they hit this. And again, this is a little bit in the future. They're hitting stuff that just came out now, so a lot of players are surprised. But with the Delicious Memory going to 1, it's not completely shutting down the deck. The deck can still very much play, but Delicious Memory was able to summon out the Exceed that essentially would attach to immediately to itself. So this was a really quick way to go into Noir without building much of a board or having even like the starters with the Dark World package, okay? So with Delicious Memory being put to 1, it is a lot less likely they're going to have the free Noir on their opening turn. So we can either debate if that's good or if that's bad, but we're definitely going to be seeing how this goes into the next meta game, okay? And then last on this list, and many are probably happy about this, is Naturia Sacred Tree going to 1. Now, we've been seeing Runic Naturia just kind of pick up the pace, and a lot of players were just saying we hope that it gets hit. Honestly, I'm a big fan of the Runic archetype, but I could see where some of the Naturia cards were a little overtuned, especially for their rarity. Honestly, that does matter in Yu-Gi-Oh! And so Naturia Sacred Tree going to 1 is definitely a little bit of a hit to that Naturia package in the Runic deck, okay? So that is our limited list. Next, we have the semi-limited cards. And again, we got a lot of interesting stuff on here. First card on the semi-limited list is Herald of the Orange Light. We saw Herald being at 3, just completely dominating in the metagame. It went down to 1, no one played it, but now Herald of the Orange Light is back at 2, and I think overall that is a good number for Herald of the Orange Light, going into a bunch of decks that it's been kind of taken out of. This is good in the Drytron. You can even theoretically tech it in things such as Purely because they're fairies, but I think we're going to be seeing a little bit more play of Herald going into the future. Next on that semi-limited list is Kashira Unicorn. And again, they're just kind of shaving off some of the edges on that Kashira build. Unicorn, people thought Fenrir was that insane, but we learned that Unicorn is probably the go-to main card because you get to search any of their support cards, which actually came out a little bit later. So Unicorn was kind of that sleeper ultra that ended up just being insane. So Kashira Unicorn going to 2, just making sure that their combos have to be perfect and in line and just a little bit harder for them to pull off. Next up on the semi-limited list, and honestly, I think it's an interesting one, is Lightning Storm, okay? Yes, it's a board breaker. Yes, it's an amazing going second card, and it was kind of just rampant in the metagame like a year or two ago. But Lightning Storm to 2 right now is just a little bit interesting. I really am just kind of wondering what they're doing with that. And it kind of makes me wonder if Evenly Match is on the chopping block at that point. Just kind of food for some thought. After that is Runic Fountain at 2, okay? And a lot of players are like, well, you know what? Who cares? Who cares? Runic Fountain at 2. I only play 2. A lot of builds only play 2. Plus, it's searchable by their fusion, okay? So, Runic Fountain at 2. Honestly, I wish I could just keep it at 3. I'm a Runic lover. I really am. But I can see we're trimming it down, making it where you have to search it so you can potentially out the fusion is something that Konami would like to do. And this is something that actually we're kind of doing over, I believe, in the OCG as well. So after that, we have Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage. And I'll be honest with you, with all the other formats, I kind of forgot it was even at 1 over here in the TCG. But Mobilize and Engage going to 2 is something really nice for the TCG. We actually see Sky Strikers getting a bunch of advantage going into the future. So we do see Engage going to 2, kind of helping that out. And we even see some tech coming to them with that new link that got announced not too long ago. And then also, they did mention that 2 of them were in the new ruling. They're like, if you have 2 engage, you can do this. So it's kind of a little prelude to what was to come, you know? And then last on the semi-limited list is Sprite Starter. And I would like to say we've been talking about Sprite Starter getting hit in the last 2 prediction videos. People called us crazy, but here we are. Sprite Starter going to 2, okay? And I do believe that will put sprites a little bit in line, but still keeping them very powerful in the metagame. And then last, we have the unlimited cards. And this is where it's always interesting. So, first card on the unlimited list is Blackwing Steam the Cloak. And this is really exciting for the Blackwing players out there, especially for my man, Mr. Kodak. He's going to be abusing Steam the Cloak and have a lot more consistency with it. So that's the first card on the unlimited list. Second off is Gen X Ally Birdman. And honestly, this is a card I've been champing for going to 3 for quite some time, just because it has fallen out of like the hyper meta game overall, but still really nice seeing it return to 3 at the former state. Third on the list is Samsara Lotus, and again, with the state of the game right now not being as crazy as it used to be, we do see Samsara going back to 3. We also see 3 Spiral Quick Fix, which is real nice for the Spiral players out there. I know you're all very excited. After that is the Lyrilisk Recital Starling, and again, we're just kind of giving support back to the decks that were hit many formats ago that just kind of would fall out of the metagame due to power creep. Now, another card going to 3 is Draco Face Off. And again, another card I've been championing for a while. And I'm just very glad that we're seeing Draco Face Off go to 3. Give a little support to those Pendulum decks out there. And then last on the unlimited list is Sky Striker Mecha Modules Multi-Roll. And again, we're giving some love to the Sky Striker players out there, giving them the support that's coming out, giving them some love on the ban list. So I do believe we're going to be seeing Sky Strikers at least trying to compete in the future metagames. And guys, that is the video. That is the ban list reaction video. And honestly, I know we're all very excited for this list. Even if your deck was a little bit tuned down or up on here, it is exciting finally getting this list out to the TCG. So if you guys would like to comment below, say things that you would like to see on the future list or you wish was on here, like Dino Wrestler Pankratops to 3, then comment down below. If you want to see any of the other videos, we're going to have them fly up there, fly over there. But most importantly, guys, if you got anything from this or enjoyed the content or keep seeing yourself back here, drop that subscribe. But we're going to be seeing you next time. Stay safe. Have a good night, and suck it, nerds.